Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch of Crime Talk, and thanks for tuning in. Huge docket today, so let's hit the high points and get right to it. First, they're back. That's right. The police are back at Chad Daybell's property executing a search warrant. We have some information about his conversations with dead people. Third, St. Louis couple defending their property or just a bunch of armed instigators. A ruling in the case involving the death of George Floyd. Apparently, there'll be no video. A Kentucky woman gets a life sentence. Where is Ghislaine Maxwell? And more, and our dumb criminal contestant of the day. Let's talk about it. Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch of Crime Talk, and thanks for tuning in. We know that you have lots of things you could be watching, so the fact that you're watching us is greatly appreciated. First, if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell so that you receive notifications of when we go live or put up new content, and as always, leave us a comment below. First on the docket, they're back. That's right. The Rexburg police executed a search warrant at Chad Daybell's home this Monday afternoon. Marked and unmarked vehicles arrived about 1:15 and showed some paperwork to Daybell's son-in-law, who's been living at the home with his family, according to nearby residents and witnesses. Police went into the house, the exterior buildings on the property, and were seen in the backyard with cameras. They left around 2:50, so the police were there for a little shy of 2 hours. And it's unclear what officers were looking for, and the Madison County prosecuting attorney, Rob Wood, declined any comment. As you may recall, a search warrant was served on June 9th at the same property, where dozens of officers were on the scene and the roads were closed for 2 days as the Daybell's property was excavated. When they executed that search warrant on June 9th, that's when they discovered the remains of Joshua J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan on the property. It's later been confirmed that at least Tylee had been dismembered and burned. Now, this is the same property where Chad Daybell's wife, Tammy, passed away. Now, some people were speculating that the search warrant had to do with the children, otherwise they wouldn't have needed a search warrant. Not true. If the police were in fact investigating a nefarious cause of death related to Tammy Daybell, they would want to get a search warrant as well. If not, they would have the possibility of having any evidence seized for use at any trial in the future. And there was no indication other than photographs that were taken as to whether any items of evidentiary value were in fact seized. Next on the docket, Chad Daybell. Apparently, he was telling people, and he told Tammy Daybell, his now deceased wife, that he was having conversations with her dead grandmother. And according to Chad Daybell, he received this message and he told his wife, Tammy, that she should go visit her parents in Utah. Now, according to reports of family members, it's alleged that Chad Daybell came into the house after working in the yard on October 4th, claiming to have been visited by Tammy's deceased grandmother, Cooper. He reportedly told his wife, Tammy, that her dead grandmother said Tammy needs to visit her parents in Springfield, Utah, where Tammy and the Daybell had lived with their family until a few years prior, until they moved to Idaho. Apparently, Tammy had previously mentioned to Chad that she wanted to visit her parents, but had been hesitant apparently because of the fact that she normally likes to travel with Chad and the children. She doesn't like to travel alone. But after apparently Chad had this conversation with her deceased grandmother, she apparently decided it was okay to pack it up and visit Springfield. She apparently visited with her parents for dinner and then spent the night with her sister before returning home. Now, a few days after her return, Tammy put something on Facebook, a post, where she explained that she had pulled into her driveway that day and a masked man, apparently seemingly out of nowhere, shot a paintball gun pellet at her, which she said the post didn't believe was actually loaded. She also said that even though She asked the man what he was doing. He apparently never spoke, and she reported the incident to the police, but the police never found anybody, and they determined that it was probably just a big prank. 10 days later, on October 19th, Tammy Daybell never woke up and was found deceased in her bed. Now, obviously, the police, we've talked about this, states that no autopsy was done and that she obviously must have died of a natural cause. She was buried some 3 days later, and that was the end of it. And then shortly thereafter, within 2 weeks of her death, Chad Daybell marries Lori Vallow on the beaches of Hawaii in a lovely ceremony out there. We've all seen them with the beach pictures. I'm not sure they thought this is exactly the way things were going to go. This case just gets more bizarre, and you just can't make it up. Anytime you start talking portals, zombies, people talking to dead people, you know it's going to get weird, and it's just going to get more interesting every day. So we'll continue to follow it. Hopefully you will as well. What do you think? Do you think Chad was really talking to dead people, or do you think that he, was playing mind games on old Tammy? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Well, if you haven't seen the memes by now, I'm sure you probably will. Well, there were protesters heading towards the St. Louis mayor's home in Missouri to demand her resignation, and they were greeted by a couple brandishing guns and yelling at them. Well, this couple turned out to be attorney Mark and Patricia McCloskey as they stood on their lawn brandishing guns at the protesters marching toward Mayor Crusen's home on Sunday evening. The protest occurred after the mayor reportedly released the names and addresses of people pushing to defund the police department. So I guess everybody is publicly shaming everybody out there. According to several videos taken by local reporters as well as onlookers, the couple stood in the front yard of their lavish mansion in central West End neighborhood and screamed at what appeared to be peaceful protesters. The couple are attorneys and they own the McCloskey Law Office. Apparently, they've done quite well for themselves as their mansion looks rather plush indeed. Now, some people are saying that these two people should be arrested, these two lawyers, because they were out there brandishing their weapons. The video that I've seen, and I'm sure someone will say, no, you didn't see this video. The videos I've seen doesn't appear as though they're pointing the weapons generally at anyone. The wife has a little handgun. But really, you think a mob of people are going to stop for her? Don't think so. Don't think any crime was committed. It's a gated community. It's private property. Once again, peacefully protest. But as soon as you destroy other people's property, your right to peacefully protest has gone away. Now, Mr. McCloskey spoke with the news media and explained that the incident outside his residence was anything but peaceful. He explained that this was private property. There were no public sidewalks and no public streets. We were told that we would be killed, our home burned, and our dog killed. We were all alone facing an angry mob. McCloskey said he spotted people in the crowd with guns. He said that's when he decided to go get his gun. You all will have to decide whom you believe. Do you have a right to defend your property? I would say yes, you do. Angry mob comes marching up the road. They threaten to kill you. I assure you, I'd be getting a gun too. Don't think any crime was committed by these two individuals, but we'll wait and see if they are in fact prosecuted. Somehow, I don't think they will be. Next on the docket, a Kentucky woman receives a life sentence. That's right. Courtney Taylor, 44, was sentenced to life in prison for admittedly shooting her husband and two teen daughters. According to prosecutors, they allege that Courtney Taylor claimed to have attempted suicide the same day in 2017. The motive, according to testimony from the Kentucky State Police detectives, involved a dispute with her husband over a depleted $264,000 cash settlement deposited 6 months earlier, with Taylor writing in a letter that she shot her kids because she didn't want them growing up without a mother. Now, Taylor entered what they refer to as an Alford plea, which maintains her innocent but concedes that she believed that the prosecutors had enough evidence to convict her. All right? Now, some courts don't take an Alford plea. Most courts, when you go to federal court, the judge will ask an individual, tell me in your own words what you did. and you have to admit that your conduct was unlawful and it wasn't excused in any way. Usually an Alford plea comes when you're pleading guilty to, say, a speeding ticket. You plead guilty to a defective headlamp. Everybody knows your headlamps worked fine, but you plead guilty to that to avoid the more serious offense. Haven't seen too many Alford pleas when it comes to triple murders. Little perplexed by that, but that was probably a way to get the defendant, Miss Taylor, to plead guilty to avoid a lengthy trial and possibly even more severe punishment, even though what more can you do to her with life without parole? It's also because probably Miss Taylor claims that she has no memory of the killings, which prosecutors weighed while considering three factors that affected the decision to accept the Alford plea, according to reports. One is the drug use, which she said she participated in while trying to commit suicide that day. Whether or not she did, they don't know for sure. The second thing was that she was shot twice in effectuating her arrest. Post-traumatic trauma syndrome is a possibility where there can be a memory loss. Also, she has multiple surgeries and was under anesthesia for the 2 gunshot wounds for several days after the events, which can also cause memory loss. So according to the district attorney, taking these 3 factors, there was a possibility that she couldn't remember anything, and the Alford plea was an attractive option because it meant Taylor will never walk out of prison, according to the prosecutor. Do you think that's justice? Let me know in the comments below. Next on the docket, where's Ghislaine Maxwell? That's right. Miss Maxwell is a wanted woman. She is wanted for questioning in that case related to a guy named Jeffrey who may have died in the federal detention center in Manhattan. We won't say his last name because YouTube immediately demonetizes it when we say his name. So you know who we're talking about, Jeffrey. Many thought that she was hiding away in her native France, but apparently not. It's alleged that she is on her father's yacht. The yacht reportedly left Australia for New Zealand this past week. The crew was very hush about who was on board and, in fact, refused to comment in any way. No one has seen Miss Maxwell since March when she went into lockdown because of the COVID-19 epidemic. A lot of people would like to talk to her, and they want to know what she knew, what she did, and who else did she do it for other than that guy named Jeffrey. Next on the docket, let's take a quick recess for just a few seconds here and talk about a subscription to a background search. I'm telling you, when you're lying in bed at night and you're wondering why something just doesn't feel right about somebody, don't you wish that you could literally do a background check on them immediately? Well, now you can. Go to CrimeTalkSearch.com, sign up for the subscription, and you can start doing background searches on anyone you want, including yourself. When you do this, there will be a report that is generated that will include social media, emails, criminal records, bankruptcy records, property records, judgments, everything you want to know about somebody, but frankly, you're too afraid to go ask. Now you can do it anonymously. That's right. No one's going to know, and you can search as many people as you want, and no one's going to know. I'm telling you, we use these searches on just about every case that walks through our door. There's always a witness that we need to know a little more information about or try to find somebody. And this is where we start. We use it all the time. It saves us a lot of time. It saves us a lot of money, and you should do it as well. You will be satisfied. CrimeTalkSearch.com. Next on the docket, a former police officer who terrorized California as a serial burglar and rapist went on to kill more than a dozen people while evading capture for decades, pled guilty today in murder attributed to a criminal dubbed the Golden State Killer. Joseph James D'Angelo Jr. kept silent in court since 2018 upon his arrest, but today repeatedly uttered the words, "Guilty, and I admit," in a hushed and raspy voice as part of a plea agreement that will spare him the death penalty for a life sentence with no chance of parole. Now, D'Angelo's 74 years old, pretty unlikely that he would ever be sentenced to death going through the criminal court process as well as the appeals. But at least this is providing some resolution for the family members. D'Angelo had never publicly acknowledged the killings, offered up a confession of sorts after his arrest that cryptically referred to an inner personality named Jerry that forced him to commit the wave of crime that ended abruptly in 1986. D'Angelo said, quote, "I did all that." D'Angelo said in that statement to the police he didn't have the strength to push Jerry out. He made me. He went with me. It was like in my head. I mean, he's a part of me. I didn't want to do things. I pushed Jerry out and had a happy life. I did all those things. I destroyed all their lives. So now I've got to pay the price. Now, D'Angelo was seated in a wheelchair on a makeshift stage in a university ballroom that could accommodate hundreds of observers a safe distance apart during, obviously, the coronavirus pandemic. He pled guilty to all 13 counts of murder, as well as dozens of rapes that were too old to prosecute. They set the ballroom up at the Sacramento State University to look like a courtroom, and they even had the seal for the Sacramento County Superior Court. He was in his orange jail scrubs and had a plastic face shield to prevent possible spread of the coronavirus. The prosecutors went into excruciating detail and explaining how he entered homes undetected and surprised couples in bed by shining a flashlight in their face and threatening to harm everyone in the house, including young children, if they didn't follow his orders. We'll go into greater detail when we go live on Patreon tomorrow night. Otherwise, YouTube will probably demonetize us again, and we'll try to avoid that at least today. Next on the docket, ladies and gentlemen, our dumb criminal contestant of the day. Before we get to that, let's talk about the winner from last week. Our dumb criminal contestant of the week was Juan Christian. He apparently didn't want to miss that probation meeting with his probation officer. And so what's the logical thing to do? Yeah, don't call ahead. Oh, no. Call in a bomb threat. That's right. That's what he did, Mr. Christian did, and he got to go to jail. So, Mr. Christian, if you're watching, if you're a friend of Mr. Christian, contact me. Send me an email at scott@scottreisch.com. Let me have your contact information, and we will send you a complimentary Crime Talk mug for being our dumb criminal contestant of the week. Now, if you want a mug or other cool Crime Talk gear, you don't have to be a dumb criminal contestant. Simply hit the link below, go to Teespring, whatever you want, they'll ship it to you. Now, our dumb criminal contestant of the day. Her name is Sarah Alame. And apparently she called 911 about 2:45 a.m. When the police dispatcher answered, she hung up. So the police then headed to where the call was made, which was a parking lot near a hospital. Roughly 15 minutes after the first call came in, a second call came in. An operator heard a woman's voice on the line, but that call also reportedly ended without any information being exchanged. This time, the police were able to locate the caller, who confirmed, in fact, she was the one who had dialed 911, and she stated that she needed a ride to another city. Ms. Alame was told by the police that this was not the right number to call for such services, and unless she needed medical attention, she shouldn't do it again. Well, Ms. Alame, being the citizen who thinks that she's entitled to all good things, apparently was quite unhappy, and therefore she called 911 yet again to complain that the officers didn't give her the services she needed, which was a taxpayer-sponsored taxi ride, according to the police. Miss Alame was warned yet again by the police officers not to call 911 for non-emergencies. Well, can you guess what happened? That's right. She called yet again, 911 yet again, and at this point, she finally got that taxpayer-sponsored ride. But This time, she got a ride straight to the police station and then to the county jail. Lesson to be learned: don't call 911. Some people are high repetition learners, don't get it. Miss Alame, you are a dumb criminal contestant of the day, and you, Miss Alame, could be our dumb criminal contestant of the week. Now, today is Monday. Tomorrow is Tuesday. Tuesday night, we go live. We'll go live on YouTube as well as Facebook at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And then after that, we will go live to our Patreon members. And we're going to try to have something little special. We don't want to say too much because it's not done just yet. But if you want to support us, be part of that much smaller group, you can go to Patreon at the link below and sign up. And we'll send you a link right after we go live tomorrow evening so that you can be on that Patreon Crime Talk group talk as well. We want to thank everyone for tuning in today. We appreciate you taking the time to watch us. We think that we are giving you something of value. We sure hope you think so as well. We'll see you next time on Crime Talk.